Principal Heberden brought the tributes before their mentors to discuss strategies for the games. From this scene, we can see that each tribute was unique, with some being young children and others suffering from severe illnesses. Snow met with Lucy to discuss their next steps. Snow suggested that she sing during the televised interview that night to win the audience's favor and earn tips, which would allow him to send her gifts in the arena. In fact, Snow had originally come up with the reward proposal, but the female student had submitted a similar one first. After reviewing the proposal, the chief producer of the Hunger Games, Dr. Gall, called the two of them to his lab. The girl eagerly took credit for the idea, but Dr. Gall was not impressed. He led them to a large bucket of snakes and explained that these snakes could recognize the scent of their feeders. If they were accustomed to a person's scent or had been fed by them, they would become docile. Gall threw the proposal into the snake bucket. If the paper had the girl's scent on it, the snakes would not attack her. Otherwise, they would react violently. The girl, trembling with fear, reluctantly reached into the bucket. She was immediately bitten by the snakes and passed out. Snow was horrified by the sight. As the girl was being bitten, Dr. Gall realized the proposal had been written by Snow. Impressed by Snow's cleverness, Gall agreed to implement the proposal during the games. Snow became the victor of the 10th Hunger Games. He had expected this victory to earn him a scholarship. But the next day, instead of seeing Lucy, the surviving tribute, he found the headmaster wearing a stern expression. It turned out the headmaster had found Snow's handkerchief and a vial of poison on Lucy. This proved Snow had helped Lucy, violating the Hunger Games rules. As a result, Snow not only lost the scholarship but was sentenced to be dispatched abroad as an anonymous private protector for cheating. Snow had his head shaved and was forcibly dispatched to serve as a protector in District 12. Thankfully, his friend Arak accompanied him to District 12. Unlike the bustling capital where Snow was from, District 12 was filled with factories and impoverished residents as far as the eye could see. As a protector, Snow had only one task: to monitor every move in District 12 for the commander. Snow quickly adapted to his life as a protector. The commander followed the principle of better to kill 10,000 innocents than let one guilty person escape, indiscriminately murdering civilians in District 12 daily. Snow didn't object. He knew well that intimidating rule could also ensure regional stability. But one night, while relaxing in a bar, he met Lucy again, the resident performer. Though Lucy and Snow had only spent a few days together during the Hunger Games, Snow had already fallen deeply in love with this incredibly clever girl. Just then, a drunk voice actor tried to harass Lucy. And our main character, Snow, is still a high school student. More than 10 years ago, Snow was a privileged young aristocrat. However, after his father died in the war, his entire family fell into decline. Now, Snow's family lives in poverty, struggling to afford even basic necessities, and they cannot pay for his college tuition. Fortunately, Snow is an excellent student and has a chance to win a scholarship. With this money, he could not only afford his education, but also improve his family's situation. The day of the scholarship announcement arrives, and Snow, wearing a shirt his father wore when he was young, heads to school. In terms of both grades and other achievements, Snow is at the top of his class and should be the obvious choice for the scholarship. However, this year, the scholarship system is undergoing a change. The creator of the Hunger Games, Headmaster Haymitch, introduces a new concept. The scholarship will be tied to the Hunger Games, where 24 top students will act as mentors to the tributes. If their tribute wins, the scholarship will be awarded to them. This unexpected change throws Snow off guard. Even worse, the tribute assigned to him is a music girl named Lucy from District 12. District 12 is known as the poorest district, where people struggle with hunger and poor living conditions, leading to malnutrition and weak physical development. Every year, each district selects a boy and a girl as tributes to participate in the game, sending them to the first district. The tributes must fight to the death within a designated area, and only one person can survive. The victor receives a generous reward. Now, the Hunger Games have reached their 10th edition. Lucy, with only the ability to play the guitar and sing, has no real survival skills. Clearly, she has no chance of surviving the deadly competition. Snow finds himself facing his first major challenge in life: how to help a girl with no survival skills win the game. Unsure of what to do, Snow is at a loss. At the critical moment, his grandmother and cousin encourage him, saying, "Nothing is impossible if you set your mind to it." His cousin suggests that Snow meet his tribute in advance to gain her trust, so they can work together to win the game. She also tells him, never underestimate anyone in the face of life and death. The next day, Snow follows his cousin's advice and heads to the train station with a white rose to greet his tribute. The station is empty, with only Snow waiting for the tributes. Soon the train arrives and the tributes are forced off the train by soldiers. Snow spots Lucy and his fellow District 12 companion, Old Black, in the crowd. Snow's sudden appearance leaves Lucy a bit confused. When he hands her the white rose he prepared, she assumes he's just pretending to be kind, so she turns away with Old Black and boards the truck to the resting area. Knowing the soldiers won't let him join her, Snow sneaks onto the truck when they aren't looking. His actions stir discontent among the others, and people move forward to confront him. Just then, Lucy steps in and stops them. Suddenly, the truck tilts, and everyone is tossed into the so-called resting area, making the situation even more chaotic.
Sing your way out of this one, Lucy Gray.
Lucy Gray. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
The girl secretly hid a venomous snake behind her and then quietly placed it into the clothes of the officer's daughter. The officer was furious and ordered the girl to take the snake out immediately, but the girl pretended not to hear. The officer's daughter, terrified by the snake, fell to the ground, her body trembling uncontrollably, which allowed the snake to slowly slither out. The officer, enraged by the girl's actions, threw her into a secret prison where a group of ruthless murderers were held. To make the girl experience the terror of being surrounded by snakes, the officer decided to release a black iron barrel in the prison. As the lid was lifted, a swarm of venomous snakes poured out like a tidal wave. The sight was so horrifying that the girl almost lost control. Other prisoners scrambled to escape, and those who were too slow were devoured by the snakes. One prisoner sat on the ground, helplessly watching the snakes crawl over his body until he died from their venom. Soon, the whole prison was left with just 2 people. The girl quickly climbed onto a large rock, but the other person failed to escape in time and was immediately consumed by the snakes, dying in an instant. As countless snakes crawled toward her, the girl displayed incredible courage and began to sing to them. To her surprise, the snakes were drawn to her voice, and they all climbed onto her, quietly enjoying the strange music. Principal Heberden brought the tributes before their mentors to discuss strategies for the games. From this scene, we can see that each tribute was unique, with some being young children and others suffering from severe illnesses. Snow met with Lucy to discuss their next steps. Snow suggested that she sing during the televised interview that night to win the audience's favor and earn tips, which would allow him to send her gifts in the arena. In fact, Snow had originally come up with the reward proposal, but the female student had submitted a similar one first. After reviewing the proposal, the chief producer of the Hunger Games, Dr. Gall, called the 2 of them to his lab. The girl eagerly took credit for the idea, but Dr. Gall was not impressed. He led them to a large bucket of snakes and explained that these snakes could recognize the scent of their feeders. If they were accustomed to a person's scent or had been fed by them, they would become docile. Gall threw the proposal into the snake bucket. If the paper had the girl's scent on it, the snakes would not attack her. Otherwise, they would react violently. The girl, trembling with fear, reluctantly reached into the bucket. She was immediately bitten by the snakes and passed out. Snow was horrified by the sight. As the girl was being bitten, Dr. Gall realized the proposal had been written by Snow. Impressed by Snow's cleverness, Gall agreed to implement the proposal during the games.
Welcome to the arena for the 10th Annual Hunger Games. Tributes, mentors. You have 15 minutes to survey the space and discuss strategy.
The arena was a massive room, where tomorrow the tributes would fight to the death with only one survivor. Before the game even started, some tributes had already begun forming alliances. Lucy looked at Snow, her eyes filled with the determination to survive. Just then, an explosion rocked the arena, turning the entire place into rubble. The gates were blown open, and the tributes scrambled like wild dogs toward the exit. Snow was trapped under some debris, unable to move. As the surrounding buildings began to collapse, Snow thought he would die right there. At the critical moment, Lucy, who could have escaped, chose to return and save him. It was this act of saving him that made Snow develop a strong sense of affection for Lucy, and he decided to do whatever it took to help her win the game. Lucy did not disappoint Snow. During the next press interview, she showcased her singing voice and quickly garnered widespread attention.
When I was a babe, I fell down in the holler. When I was a girl, I fell into your arms. We fell on hard times and we lost our bright color. You went to the dogs and I lived by my charms.